Hello, and welcome to the podcast about Transformers comics, toys, and everything in between. I'm Onyx Prime with my two co-hosts here.
Hi, I'm Computron.
Hi, I'm Kilobyte.
Moving on with our comic discussion for today's episode takes us to IDW Devastation, and as always, spoiler warning. So if you haven't read it already, we highly recommend you go and read it and then come back and listen to the podcast. Now, onwards! Both Computron and myself have read the series already, but this is Kilobyte's first time and we are excited to hear his thoughts about it. But before we dive into that, Computron, do you mind telling us some fun facts?
Yeah, and you guys know the basics first before we get into the fun stuff. So, the first issue of Devastation was released October 3rd, 2007, and the last issue was February 27th, 2008. The writer was the same as always, Simon Furman, and we have a kind of a different mix-up on the artists here. We got E.J. Sue, and the colors were by Josh Burkham, Zach Atkinson, and Liam Shalhoub. So now, fun facts. When the crash in Arc 19 nearly misses the neighborhood, some of the objects blown about by the resulting wind include a yellow car with black racing stripes and a newspaper with the headlines Project Iceman. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? Secondly, Sixshot's alt modes are huge. Although in robot mode he was about the same size as Megatron, this may indicate that he has some form of mass displacement. Similarly, a three-headed dragon reaper silhouetted on page 20, panel 6, closely resembles Godzilla, enduring Nemesis, enduring... God. Okay, so similarly, a three-headed dragon reaper silhouetted on page 20, panel 6, closely resembles Godzilla's enduring nemesis, King Ghidorah. Now, Mr. Kilobyte, would you mind reading us a short summary of these comics?
Will do. After the Autobots' base was compromised, Nightbeat helps put plans into motion in order to relocate the Ark to the Gulf of Mexico, while Megatron calls in Sixshot to help finish off the Autobots once and for all. We are also introduced to a group called the Reapers, who want to recruit Sixshot to their cause. This information was taken from the wiki.
What are our first thoughts about this comic overall, before we dive into the specifics? Kilobyte, you go first.
Sixshot, I like seeing.
You recently got a toy of Sixshot. I'm a little jealous. I've been staring at one. I was like, but Kilobyte already has one.
I think it was planned in a way so I could have it for this recording. But I really enjoyed it. It was very fun. A lot of ups and downs.
Sixshot has come.
He has arrived.
He has arrived.
All right, jumping into the specifics. So we're introduced to our first Phase Sixer here with the appropriate name, Sixshot.
He has come.
I'm wondering if the pun was truly intended here when they created this idea.
I think it was kind of nice to see that they go, not a lot, but they went into a little bit more detail about the phases.
Yeah, not all of the phases, but at least Phase 2 and Phase 6, right?
Yeah,
they seem to skip a few. I wonder if counting is hard for them.
Which is pretty funny because I hadn't heard of this phases before I started reading. So when Sixshot says he's more of a Phase 6 kind of guy, I thought it was funny because it was just a play on his name. And then when I was talking about it with you, you're like, oh no, Megatron has 6 different phases for when he conquers planet. So he was probably referencing that, but also it could have been a joke. I'm like, oh, I see. Okay.
It's kind of both, right? It feels like a pun and a joke. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
They definitely chose the right bot to, introduce the Phase 6.
Oh, yeah. He's he's got so many different alt modes, and each one of them are kind of, they're Cybertronian amazing. Like, they're not going to be accurate to, like, creatures or something, but they're really big, they're really massive, and they truly capture the terrifying presence of a Phase Sixer in this definition.
Yeah, it kind of felt weird when Megatron recruited him. They were like looking eye to eye. Like Sixshot transforms into these massive things, and then Megatron transforms into pistol.
Hey, that's the most powerful weapon in the universe.
You know what? Yeah, I got no beef with that thing. Okay.
The next thing in this comic, we find Sunstreaker, or should I say Sunstreakers? Oh well, there's just a bunch of them now.
So it looks like he's not dead after all.
Right. And like we find out that it's not Sunstreaker, the first one obviously that we find. It's a clone, not necessarily a clone. It's like a how do you phrase this? Like the humans made a copy of him, right?
Oh, just like any deconstruction happens, they can make
Replica.
models. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for they, I guess, wanted to replace the head with a human. Ta-da!
We get introduced to the headmasters.
The headmasters, which is an interesting take in this series. Like we don't see a lot of that later on, or even mentioned in any other shows for the most part, or comics. So I thought this was an interesting way to introduce that. And one of the first headmasters were not the first. One of the characters that becomes a headmaster is Hunter. We find out what he went into surgery for, and I was like going back and forth in my mind. It's like, why did they capture the kid and then turn him into a headmaster? And then my brain was like, oh, they needed a guinea pig to see if it works first before they put it on their own men.
Yeah.
Duh. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first got introduced to headmasters, like and this was before I read this comic, so go easy on me on this one. I literally got confused between headmasters and titan masters.
Oh,
I
it
was like,
happened.
oh yeah, like the guys that replace the heads. You're like, yeah, headmasters. I'm like, yeah, you mean titan masters? No, the humans. I'm like, what?
Oh, it happens. I think they even reference headmasters. They reference Titan masters as headmasters, even though they're different. So that's what the confusion comes from. I think. I feel like
I think you were reading these comics when like the card set was coming out called Titan Masters, which
Yep.
totally understandable why you would get confused, because the robots that turn into robot heads are Titan Masters. The humans that turn into robot heads are Headmasters. That's a whole cluster scrap scenario. Sorry, that's another off-topic thing, but it's also like interesting how many different things have different names, but it's kind of the same thing.
yeah.
Literally, almost kind of doing the same thing too. Like,
This all comes from the toy gimmicks, right? This is not
Right.
even something they came up with. So
Right.
I didn't really care for it. I don't really think humans should be coming ahead. It's
Oh
not,
yeah,
I don't think it's possible to bend your body in such a way that you become a head.
I don't know.
So,
Have you seen some gymnasts?
I have,
or
but
contortionists.
Exactly.
yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
All right, I'm gonna railroad us real quick. I love Hot Rod's quips when confronting what we find out are machinations, what we call the replicants of Sunstreaker, which I enjoy the different colors that we see. But Hot Rod's quips are amazing. They're great. I love them. I didn't write down any of them. But they will be on the YouTube. So if you're listening through a podcast, hop onto the old YouTube and there'll be a snippet.
Yeah, Hot Rod was kind of like trying to follow the rules, but he was just tired of this, and he's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna make some jokes and eventually transform and take these out because they're annoying me."
A total different hot rod than what we saw in like the Primacy trilogy. Or
Right,
Autocracy trilogy.
Autocracy. Yeah, because he's less running away, I guess. Well, he didn't really run away. He blew up the whole city in the Autocracy series. In this one, he's literally
How would we
leading
go?
the charge recklessly without a plan. He says he's got a plan. He doesn't have a plan.
Yeah.
To find who's
Yeah,
behind the Sunstreaker kidnapping.
Tune
Yeah,
in to
he's-
more than meets the eye.
He's so preoccupied with finding where Sunstreaker is and getting him back in one piece that even though he's with Wheeljack, they were given orders that, hey, you got to stay in vehicle mode. That way we don't bring attention. He's like, I'm done with this. I just want to get these cars away from me and get them so I can do what I want to do. So he's just getting tired of it.
Yeah?
He doesn't play well with others.
No, he does not. Which will eventually bite him in the tailpipe.
In the can.
Speaking of other bot introductions. We get to meet Nightbeat.
Ooh, our Sherlock Holmes of all characters.
Yeah, and one of my favorites from More Than Meets the Eye. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Chugging along.
The first time I
Slowly.
saw him because of the coloring, I thought it was Punch and Counterpunch, and I'm
I
like,
can
"What are
see
you
that.
doing here?" But because they kind of have the neon yellow and the blue,
Right.
but they do say Nightbeat, and I'm like, okay, so it's not Punch or Counterpunch, but so,
No. But part of the story was that he deduced that the entire the arc itself was kind of essentially being besieged from what you said earlier in the summary, and he's a Sherlock Holmes, but doesn't necessarily come up with the best execution plan, in my opinion.
Do go on.
We're just gonna pick this thing up out of Lake Michigan and fly over the country over to the Gulf of Mexico. That way, the Decepticons can't find us. Oh, how ironic!
How could that ever go wrong? Please describe to us, Computron,
massive alien ship.
what
No-
happens.
Sixshot has come. Sixshot came, and he does what Sixshot does, and they made it to the Gulf of Mexico, but they took some damage from Sixshot on their way to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if it was from that scene or if it was a different scene, but like Sixshot was like getting chased by like fighter jets or whatever, and like they're like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. This is a no-fly zone. He's like, yeah, whatever, and he just blows up the planes. They're like, yeah, what are you guys gonna do to Sixshot? You're just a flea, essentially.
I do like how we get to see all of Sixshot forms throughout the comic. So he just keeps changing every single time we meet him again, which is pretty fun.
which is nice. We get to see the uses of all his jet mode. We see his tank mode. We see his lion mode.
Yeah.
It's I don't even know how to pronounce the other two modes. I don't know what they look like exactly. Something
I think
Cybertronian.
one is like a gun. The
Yes,
other
one is like a floating gun.
Yeah, one is a floating gun. The jet, tank, the tiger, and then the bot, I guess, and then one more maybe.
Sounds about right. And one more. We'll call that
More.
last mode and one more.
I don't remember what the last one is.
I don't know either. We'll put up
actually get the toys to do like all of those forms.
Yes,
Or-
they do.
Yes.
We'll
Really?
throw up a toy with the instructions on how to get him in an Oz mode. How's that sound on the YouTube?
Sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
his original toy could do all 6 forms.
It's amazing.
Now, because I hope I still have you guys' attention. Back to the robot introduction. My boy, Ravage. And those pesky humans are just using him.
Yes, they are.
He's my favorite cassette out of all of them. And I'm a big Soundwave. I'm a big Soundwave fan. So, and
I pegged you as a getaway kind of bot.
You want to keep your kneecaps?
That's your favorite one, yeah?
I'm gonna go grab a baseball bat. Be right back.
Oh, no. Okay, I only have 10 minutes until he arrives at my doorstep. All right.
Oh, what
let's
do you
hurry up and
mean?
finish
I'm
this.
just here to collect my toys. I'm definitely not here to bust your kneecaps.
Okay.
Man.
Kilobyte. Haven't heard from you in a second.
You haven't heard from me in a second.
Yeah, what you got?
There's so many things that I do want to correct. Hot Rod was not looking for Sunstreaker in this comic. He was looking for Ironhide because he was going to get squished at the junkyard.
There's your broad star.
Yep, I figured it out. I do like we have Hardhead.
Hardhead, yes.
Yeah, we have, and he's a Titan Master or a Headmaster, because in the packaging it says Headmaster, but he has a robotic boy that turns into his head. I don't see it in this comic, but I know the toys he does.
In the comic, he's not.
He's not,
or at least it's never mentioned that he is.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Okay.
So we get to learn a little bit more about the Reapers in this comic, which in their connection to the Dead universe, which will soon have its own spotlight in the comics we'll continue to read. Computron and myself may or may not join you for that episode. We found out that you were recording in the closet, which is fine. You can have this table. We'll just
Is that
go
where you were?
to. Yeah, he was in the closet.
I was closet.
I don't know. All I heard was Waspinator just complaining, and I don't know. I just kind of ignored it.
Did you think it was weird he came out with all the recording equipment out of the closet?
Plus your drinks,
mean-
yeah.
I don't know. I try not to judge people in the closet, but
So I think Computron and I will go to Blair's place, and you can record here for Heart of Darkness. But what's your thoughts on the Reapers?
I like them. I think their designs are inspired by some of the previous versions of not necessarily all of them to Megatron, but there's one guy that looks kind of like a dragon-esque, and it kind of reminds me of the Megatron from the More Than Meets the Eyes in 2001. I think it was that one. He has like an alternate double-headed dragon mode. Kind of reminds me of that.
Thoughts in the Skies 2001 series.
Yeah, not the comic, the cartoon. But I thought they were very interesting because they all have like weird forms, and one of them looked kind of like a robot gargoyle, which reminds me of like Fangry,
Yeah.
in a way. They looked interesting, but they didn't really do a whole bunch. They just attacked the Decepticons and they just destroyed them.
Yeah, and we'll touch a little bit more on that in a bit.
not only did they attack them, but they were enough to scare Sixshot, essentially.
I don't know if they scared Sixshot. They tried to
mean-
recruit him.
Yeah, but like when Starscream did what he did, and he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for making the choice easier for me. See ya."
Oh yeah, when he framed it in a way that Sixshot would betray them, and so Starscream showed up, and then Sixshot was like, "Well, I hate you so much, I'm willing to betray the Decepticons to join the Reapers." That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
because Starscream gets more of the ore, so
Yeah.
he's just trying to eliminate Sixshot so he can get Megatron's good side.
Which does scrap all, really. It doesn't really affect Sixshot in any way.
Yeah.
And we'll touch more about Sixshot and the Reapers and the Decepticons here in a second. I want to point out, Kilobyte, you may have not noticed yet because you've just now started out, but Computron,
Yes.
I feel like this is the beginning of the pattern where we start seeing Jazz lose his arm.
Oh, you know what's funny? I have a whiteboard sitting right next to me, and I already wrote like a tally.
Wait, go on.
Well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but keep your tallies, people. You're gonna need them because so far, 1.
It is the first time he loses his arm. He loses his arm a lot in this entire run. So often it is ridiculous. And it's always the same arm, I feel like.
I'll probably like submit like the image on Twitter. You guys can keep up with me on the tallies of how many times Jazz loses his arm.
I'll have to pay more attention. Because I did see him lose his arm. I just didn't think it'll continue happening that often.
I mean, does Cliff Jumper die every time we see him?
Yeah, in the recent years, it didn't used to be like that, I think. So,
So, how about this? I have a couple more topics I want to talk about, but I'm gonna let you guys kind of pick. Should I talk more about? I have a subject about Sixshot, and then I have a subject about the Reaper / Galvatron.
They're all related, so go
Yeah.
with what you want to do. They're all related.
Kinda, because so one of the things I guess I'll finish up the Sixshot stuff. That way we can talk a little bit more about the Reapers.
Absolutely.
Right when Sixshot left, the entire comic, Sixshot was just this total BA of a bot. And he was just laying waste, and he was just kicking tailpipe. And the only thing that killed him was a reset code.
Did it kill him or did it put him in stasis lock?
yeah, I don't think he's dead.
He came crashing down pretty hard. So let's just say at the moment for what we experienced with the comic killed.
Fair enough.
I'll be honest with you, I was a bit disappointed because you're like, what's gonna take this thing down? An even bigger bot? Oh, a big bot battle. Oh, what are we gonna witness here? Oh, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words definitely dropped Sixshot.
Yeah. We'll see this again later with a different plot, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, if they're as powerful as, Megatron, that's why he puts them at phase 6, right? Because they're able to take over like a whole city by themselves, if I'm not mistaken,
The
or
whole
even more.
world.
A whole world by themselves.
yeah.
So if they're that powerful, he has to have a way to stop him, 'cause he has to
This
be
is
in
true.
charge.
Yeah. I mean, sure, but it wasn't necessarily Megatron that said the words, was
Of
it?
course not, but there's the one that said the words, he always finds a way to be on top, no matter what.
Who's
Yeah.
that?
We all know who we were talking about. Mr. Starscream.
Mr. Starscream. It's Emperor Starscream to you, he would have you say.
Not yet, sir.
Don't disgrace the crown. Anyway, so now back to these Reapers. It's kind of bouncing off your idea. We get to see like this power that Galvatron has, which he eventually betrays the Reapers, ironically. But we have this bot. His name is Deathbringer, and so Galvatron has this ability to turn the things he touches into zombies.
All right, wait. For the listeners at home, Galvatron and Megatron are two separate characters in the IDW verse, just so you know. And Galvatron is a part, quote unquote, of the Reapers. Continue
Yes.
on. Sorry.
And one of the Reapers was Deathbringer, a kind of really cool looking bot. And Galvatron touches him and turns Deathbringer into quite literally a Deathbringer, a zombie.
Anything it touches turns into dust? Is that what kind of seemed like to you? Like they kind of burned up and turned into dust immediately, or
I meant like the way he was walking, kind of like was zombie-ish, but like he wasn't like spreading an infection or anything. He was like, "I'm gonna touch you, you're gonna die." Deathbringer becomes that quote a Deathbringer.
Yeah. But then Deathbringer touches one of the other ones, and then the other one disappears, but Deathbringer's still walking. So I think he's either controlling him in a way to just keep expanding the little curse or whatever virus or whatever we want to call it to kind of eliminate them.
Yeah,
this is true.
and after the whole betrayal and everything, we see Galvatron kind of come back at the end of the comic, and he reports back to Nemesis Prime, which looks super, super cool. Him and G-Haxus.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for some Nemesis Prime action later.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm excited too.
On to our other plot point with the Sunstreaker and all that. So we find out that Sunstreaker is not the only headmaster that we
Hunter?
have. Hunter, yes. Hunter is the headmaster of Sunstreakers, blah, 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 blah.
You mean Sunstreaker wasn't the only...
At me on Twitter. Come at me.
Sunstreaker wasn't the only vessel.
Yes. We find another bot who was behind the whole thing.
Yep.
Someone who we thought was dead.
Yep.
Who is that, Kilobyte?
That's Scorponok.
Yeah. Scorponok.
Which confused me because there's a panel where his head is all broken, and then the next panel it's all fixed, and I'm like, whoa. What happened here?
It's a headmaster that's the fixed version, and his broken one is like hooked up to a computer, right?
Yes.
Right. So
we
that
see
happens.
Scorponok finds a way to live. Okay, that's the
Always.
theme we're gonna
Always.
run.
Yep, and that goes with the toys as well, because in the toys he used to have his head become a big robot. So medium.
Oh, he used to be a titan in the toys, right? He used to be a big fella like Metroplex and stuff. But
yeah, well, in most toys he is. I think I've only seen him small in the Armada line because it was Scorponok, but it wasn't Scorponok. But mostly he's as big as Metroplex.
Yeah.
Oh right, there is the Bayverse.
He does have like a base mode, doesn't he? In like one of the toys.
Yes, he's as big as Metroplex and forgot the other one, but Triptychon, and no, I was thinking the other one.
Fort Max.
Yes, Fort Max. So they're all big and everything, but in the comics they kind of shrink them. So they can be I guess, part of a little bit of more of the story.
I'm not gonna say who, but a little later we're also gonna see another bot who you would think was a Titan be a bot the same size as Scorponok. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Well, there is something that Onyx will be very happy because we see a little tease
Yes.
of a little group.
Yes, I didn't want to steal Computron's thunder because I can see that in his notes.
Oh,
Yeah, we get a. I'm gonna do a drum roll and I'll let you answer. How about that?
All right, I don't know how
We
to do
get
that
a
on air.
brief
Bum, bum, bum,
glimpse
bum, bum, bum.
of- That's your cue.
Oh, that's my cue. So we find the Dinobots, specifically Grimlock and the rest of the Dinobots and Shockwave, which is a classic. I feel like that's very classic because like we find something similar in some other incarnations of the Transformers where they're buried and they're dug up or something, right?
Yeah,
It's
or they've been part of his experiments, and that's why they have that form.
exactly. It's good.
Yes,
It's good stuff.
therefore-
I'm excited. That's actually going to be our next read, Maximum Dynambots, but we're not quite done here, are we? We got like one more thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I think that's Kilobyte's thing, right?
Is it my thing? Oh, I did notice that the junkyard is called Wreck and Rule, which is the phrase of the records.
Foreshadowing.
Yep. We're gonna read the records too.
Anything else that we're missing before we move on to our next section?
Yeah. No.
I don't think I.
Fantastic then. Pay attention to our Twitter. We'll announce who our crossover will be, and we look forward to doing that. That should be a good time. We're gonna do a comic to give you a little hint. We're gonna do a comic that's outside of the IDW 2005 continuity. We're gonna do a crossover comic, which is in line with our crossover event with another podcast. So that should be fun. I'm gonna keep it hush hush, but pay attention to our Twitter if you want to see what happens. As for overall ending thoughts of this comic, what do you guys think? What do you guys rate it out of like rod stars? Like I would give it like at least a 4 out of 5 rod stars.
Yeah.
I think it's a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
It definitely makes you. There's plenty of cliffhangers, and I can't wait to cover each and every single one of them.
Be a good time.
Yeah.
I don't have any new toys yet. They're still in the mail. Some got held up in shipping. But Computron, you got one for Cyclonus.
Yeah, I have a spot right for him right next to Tailgate. And if you guys don't know the reference, well, we're going to read More Than Meets the Eye eventually.
Can't wait for that romantic tear-jerking moments.
Yeah.
Killbite?
Yep.
I don't have anything. I am excited of all the announcements that Hasbro's been doing.
Yeah.
I like the shattered glass Jetfire that they showed. I thought the coloring and everything pretty cool. I'm excited for the Beast Wars Ravage toy. It's gonna come out with a little cassette as well, so hopefully I'll try to see if I can get that. And then they did announce T-Rex that has been appearing here at the Targets where we live. So see if I can find.
Fancy. I know I went to the Target that's closer to my end, and they had almost no Transformers, so they must be getting ready to stock up with the new stuff here soon.
Yeah.
I envy you, gentlemen, because if I go to Target, there is no way my wife would let me walk down the toy aisle.
Well, you can walk down the toy aisle with us, even though if your wife doesn't want to go with you.
You really mean it?
Yes, and you can push the cart.
Yes.
All right.
I go by myself a lot.
Are you gentle bots ready for our next read? Transformers Maximum Dinobots?
I know you're ready.
I am so excited.
It's a very fun read. I really enjoyed it.
Computron, you want to take us out?
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. And thank you so much for listening. And as always, till all are one.
Till all are one?
Till all are one.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Swerve's Bar Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at Swerve's Bar. If you're interested in more content, try checking out the spin-off D&D series, Transform and Roll Out, Rise of the World Killers.